Hi everybody! Today I wanted to make a video sharing with you what I think are the 10 best things and the 10 worst things about living in New Zealand. For those of you who don't know, I immigrated to New Zealand in 2011 and we've been here for 4.5 years and we absolutely love it. It was the best move we ever made and I plan to live the rest of my days in New Zealand and be buried in New Zealand soil. I'm going nowhere. Why would you want to? This is paradise. There are some downsides, however, and I'm going to begin with the 10 worst things about living in New Zealand because I'd prefer to finish on a positive. Number 1, it is so expensive. Goods that are imported obviously have to come from pretty far away because we're in the middle of nowhere, so shipping is expensive, which adds to the cost of goods. And we just find that things are so expensive, well, services and goods are expensive in New Zealand. Where we live, housing is cheaper, but the closer to Auckland you get, the more ridiculously expensive housing gets as well. So yeah, expensive to live in New Zealand. Number 2 is the low variety of products. I'm kind of used to this from spending the first 24 years of my life in South Africa. When we moved to England, I was blown away by the sheer variety of products. I went to buy pantyhose one day and there was this entire aisle just for pantyhose, and it was 10 denier, 40 denier, 70 denier, crotchless, toeless, reinforced seams. Like seriously, I was completely overwhelmed. I just wanted pantyhose. And my cousin had the same experience with cheese when she moved to the UK. So in comparison to the UK, there's a very low variety of products here in New Zealand. So moving here, we noticed that if you want cheese, there's like 4 types, pick one. Or if you want pantyhose, there's like a range this large, pick one. So that can be a good thing. It's a little bit less overwhelming to choose. But if you're wanting, for example, hand soap and you like a particular brand, they'll only have like 4 cents. That's it. They're not going to have 10. So sometimes that can make a difference. If you prefer a larger variety of things to choose from, it's kind of limited here. Number 3 would be it's far away to travel anywhere. If you want to go travel anywhere outside of New Zealand, you have to be prepared for a pretty long flight. I mean, anything from 3+ hours, you know, you're going to be flying for a while to get anywhere, compared to, for example, when we lived in the UK, it's just a couple hours to go anywhere in Europe. So yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere. We're stuck down on the bottom end of the world, and if you want to get anywhere, you're going to be flying a long time. If you want to go to Europe, it's going to be 25+ hours of travel, for example. Number 4 goes along with that. Shipping is expensive. If you want to post anything outside of New Zealand, you are going to pay through the nose for it because obviously it has a far way to go. It's going to be really expensive. I sent some treats to my friend in the US and it cost me I think $70 just for the shipping. It was ridiculous. So yeah, shipping is expensive in New Zealand, or from New Zealand. Number 5 is a dirty little secret that nobody ever tells you about, and it's sandflies. They are awful. They like foreign blood and foreign blood reacts badly to them. So if you come from outside of New Zealand and you're not used to or prepared for sandflies and you go out kind of on a cloudy day or spend some time on the beach or whatever and get bitten by sandflies, oh my goodness, you are going to know about it, and you're going to know about it for like 2-3 weeks afterwards. It is torturous itching. It will wake you at night. It is horrendous. Like, I am so vigilant with bug spray. If I go anywhere where there might be sandflies, I'm like spraying my feet and legs like crazy. They are horrible. So don't say you haven't been warned. The sandflies are awful. Nobody tells you about them, but I'm telling you about them. Number 6 would be no public transport. I live in a tiny country town and my husband uses our car for work. We only have one car. So when he's working, I'm stuck here. There's no buses, there's no trains. Even when we lived up in Auckland, we lived in South Auckland in Pukekohe, there was no public transport. You can't just hop on a bus anywhere. You can't just get a train if you need to go somewhere. It's, yeah, your car or your bicycle or your feet or nothing. Number 7 would be limited grocery delivery. That is the number 1 thing after friends and family that I miss about the UK. It's grocery delivery. There is one store in New Zealand that does grocery delivery, but it's limited. If you don't live in a highly populous area, they're just not going to deliver, or they're only going to deliver pantry items. That is the case where I live. They will only deliver pantry items. They won't deliver fresh goods, which like that's what you run out of and need to buy more often. and they do something called click and collect, where you can place your order online and then drive to the store to collect your order, but my nearest one is like half an hour away, so that's not convenient, and I really miss grocery delivery. Number 8 would be central heating and double glazing are rare. The newer houses, the new building code as of the last, I want to say 7 years maybe, anyway, it's fairly recent, new builds have to have double glazing. But even so, the double glazing, the panes of glass are about 1 centimeter apart, whereas in the UK they're like 1 inch apart, or just like 2.5 centimeters apart, and just more effective. Central heating, you can get heat pumps in a lot of houses or have one installed, which is basically an air conditioner on your wall which does hot or cold. But that's not really effective for heating the whole house. We plan to get central heating put into our house, gas central heating, and that's not with the radiators, that's with like warm air blowing from a floor vent, and that is going to be, I think it's like $11,000 to $13,000. It is so expensive to get it installed, and like I say, it's not standard. You're not going to buy a house and know that it's got central heating. It's kind of rare, so I really miss that, the coziness, or being able to get cozy in winter with double glazing and central heating. Number 9 is the people are really laid back. Now, by that you think, oh, that sounds like a really good thing. It is, until you actually want something done. If you are trying to buy a house and get in touch with, you know, people to sign forms and solicitors and whatever, it can be a nightmare because everyone's really laid back and they'll get back to you tomorrow. Or, you know, when we were doing our immigration process to New Zealand and needing to get in touch with Grant's case officer, that's my husband, for his job that he's getting here, it was a nightmare trying to chase anything up because everyone is so laid back. So that can be a bad thing, that they're just too laid back sometimes. And for number 10, I have earthquakes. There are around 20,000 earthquakes in New Zealand every year, but only about 250 of them big enough to feel. But still, that's kind of a lot of movement, and it's kind of worrying. And obviously the people in Christchurch know what can happen if those earthquakes get kind of big. So that is a worry, that there is that much movement in the earth around about New Zealand. Okay, moving on to the positive things. It is so beautiful. Everywhere you go there is so much natural beauty, and I just love it. It's lush and it's green. Well, in some of the fields can get a bit dry, but there's trees and burns and forests and water everywhere, amazing beaches. It is so beautiful in New Zealand. Number 2 is it's clean. There's very little litter lying around that I've ever noticed. It's just clean. There isn't kind of smog, and you know, the air's clean and the surroundings are clean, and I really appreciate that. Number 3, there is a low population. I don't like people, and the fewer people there are, the better. And now that we've moved out of Auckland, where 1/4 of the entire population is, there are so few people down here in Taranaki that I just love it. I just love that it's not people-y. Number 4, it is laid back. I know I said that as one of the negatives, but it's really nice that people are just laid back and casual, and it's just a nice atmosphere. It's like a holiday atmosphere all the time. Number 5 is the temperate weather. Unless, of course, you want to go and live near the Alps on the South Island, the weather's pretty temperate. The winters don't get too cold, and the summers, where we are at least, don't get too hot, and I really enjoy that. Number 6 is important to me because I originally came from South Africa, and number 6 is New Zealand is the safest country in the world. Who wouldn't want to live in the place that has the lowest crime statistics in the entire world? Number 7 is New Zealand is a great place to raise kids. It is just such a great lifestyle. There's outdoor things to do. Sports is important here. It's a safe place, so kids can just walk to school. They can, you know, run along to their friend's house to play after school. Before we moved here, I'd heard that New Zealand was backward, and I misinterpreted that to mean they were behind the times in terms of technology or current things, but it's not true. It's backward in the best way. It's like going back to how you grew up as a child. Anyone who lives here and has kids here will say it's a great place to raise kids. Number 8 is we have no poisonous spiders or no snakes or creatures that are going to kill you like you'll find in Australia. The oceans are safe to swim in, and it's safe to go walking in the bush. You're not going to get killed by anything or bitten or stung. I mean, you'll get bitten by sandflies, mentioned that. The most poisonous spider here is the whitetail, thanks Australia, but even that won't kill you. It'll make you pretty sick, but you're not going to die. Number 9 is that the people in New Zealand are very tolerant. It doesn't seem to matter what your background is, your cultural background, or where you come from, or what you look like, or your lifestyle. They just accept you the way you are. You show up and be yourself, and that's good enough. Number 10 is you will have to go a long way to find more honest, friendly, and generous people than the people of New Zealand. When we immigrated, our shipping container full of all of our worldly goods took 12 weeks to come from England to here. Now, about 5 or 6 of those weeks we spent in England before we left, but the remainder of the time we were here in a new country, didn't know anybody, and had nothing. And I had met a friend online, and she rounded up friends of hers, and we were lent a table and chairs, mattresses, bedding, a couch, a TV, crockery and cutlery, pots and pans, a fridge. Everything we needed until our goods arrived was just lent to us, no questions asked, no strings attached, by people we didn't even know. That was so welcoming for us, and so encouraging to know that that's what the people of New Zealand are like, and they really are like that. If you lose your wallet, chances are, if somebody finds it, they will hand it into the police station, or if it's in a restaurant, they'll hand it into the front desk. They're not just going to steal it. Or if you put out, say, for example, fruit on your front verge next to your driveway saying, $2 a bag, you can have this fruit, people will actually leave their $2. They won't just take the fruit. Like in South Africa, they would take the fruit and the table that it was on. So I really appreciate that the people here are honest, they're generous, and they are so friendly. So I hope you enjoyed this video and my little take on what's good and bad about living in New Zealand. Overall, it is an amazing place to live. It is the best move we've ever made, and we've moved a lot. And I couldn't recommend it highly enough. I don't want to highly recommend it to everybody and everybody move to New Zealand, because then it will become too people-y, but it's a fantastic place to live and we love it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!